If you want to make a very successful business about selling physical products, first step is to choose a good products. And then the second step is to choose a reliable supplier that you can work together for a long-term relationship. We Chinese people always say 知己知彼，百战不殆. And this is a very famous quote by an ancient Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu. And it means, know both yourself and the enemy, and you won't fail for 100 battles. Well, you don't need to know anything about the culture or business environment in China. Just follow my instructions in today's video and you will have a very clear understanding about how to check suppliers' business background. Welcome to watch the Import from China guide video series. I'm Jing, the founder of JingSourcing, the leading Chinese sourcing company since 2015. And this is the Module 2, Episode 3 of this whole tutorial. In this module, I mainly teach you knowledge about how to find and choose reliable suppliers, so make sure you get subscribed. The number one thing, and also one of the most important thing to check your suppliers, is to understand what type of business model that he is doing. Is he a manufacturer, trading company, or just a wholesaler? Well, I'm not encouraging you to learn how to identify who is a manufacturer and only buy from this type of suppliers. This is a really stereotype that a lot of people will teach you, that all middlemen between you and the manufacturer are the bad guy that try to rip you off. Of course, it's not the truth. So here, what I want you to learn is to identify who they are and who you are dealing with. There are three types of suppliers in China: manufacturers, trading companies, and wholesalers. Manufacturers is the one who literally makes the products, and some of them they will have a booth in wholesale markets in China or attend trade show like Canton Fair or open an Alibaba account. And by doing all these kind of things that they can be found by customers like you. There are also a lot of manufacturers that they only do the manufacturing and they don't deal with foreigner buyers directly, and they just sell the product to the domestic Chinese trading company or wholesalers. They don't have any staffs that understand English to do the sales or marketing. So it's impossible for you to find this kind of manufacturer and also buying product directly from them. Well, for trading company or wholesalers, there's no a very absolute way to differentiate them. I prefer call this kind of company as a trading company. Usually, they sell products in a specific category and they will never change for years. And usually their minimum order quantities start from around 1,000 US dollars, which is quite similar to manufacturers. They only get products from those manufacturers that they have a long-term relationship. If you are not so picky on the price, then it's very recommended to buying from this kind of trading company as a long-term business relationship. For wholesalers, you can literally find everywhere, no matter it's on Alibaba, trade show, and of course, wholesale markets. They didn't focus too much on selling products in a specific category. Instead, they sell any kind of products as long as it can make money. And their MOQ also starts from very low, sometimes less than 200 US dollars or even 100 US dollars is fine. That means at the beginning, you won't buy very large quantity for all these products. So you have to buy from those wholesalers, because for most trading company or manufacturers, their MOQ will be much higher than your budget on those products that you want to test the market. If you find some hot-selling trending products and you also want to get this kind of products, but very high possibility that you can only buy from this kind of wholesalers, because they are very sensitive on this kind of products which can bring them quick money. When this kind of products become hot selling, and it's not possible for you to find the real manufacturer. As you also want to make some quick money on this kind of products, it's more recommended for you to buy from anyone who have the inventory. This kind of wholesalers will be very good choices. But if you want to purchase and sell a products for a long-term business, or you want to customize some products, in these cases, wholesalers will be not a good option because their price will be more expensive and also they're not professional and focusing enough on the product. Except for checking suppliers' business model, the second thing that you can identify his business background is to check their product line. For most cases, manufacturers or products, they're either made from the same type of material or made through the same manufacturing process. Let me take the wine tumbler as an example. And this is really one of my favorite examples. If the supplier you are dealing with is a manufacturer, then all his other products should be also made from stainless steel. If he sells products which is not made by the stainless steel, let's say he also sells the wine glasses, he probably either not the real manufacturer or he is the manufacturer, but only for stainless steel made products. And for the wine glasses, he probably get from other manufacturers and resell to you, just act like a trading company. If the supplier you find they are a trading company that's selling wine tumblers, then they probably have other products which has also relationship to drinking. If the supplier is a wholesaler, then he probably have very wide range product categories, and all his products probably will have no relationship with each other. The number 3 thing that you can check your supplier's background is to find out their location in China, and especially when you are finding suppliers on internet or you finding suppliers on trade shows. If the supplier is from the industrial cluster for the product that you are looking for, then their price will be more competitive than those suppliers from other regions. In my last video, I had explained what is the industrial cluster and why they are so important and how to find them. So check that video out. And here is a very interesting thing. In China, sometimes for the same type of products, there will be industrial clusters in different provinces. And there will be also very big difference between these two industrial clusters. Let's say silicon-made products, such like this airport's airphone case. Manufacturers that making this kind of products, they are either from the Guangdong province or Zhejiang province. But for 100% sure that manufacturers from Guangdong province produce much higher quality than Zhejiang province. If you want to find suppliers only for high quality of this product, then you can just skip all the suppliers who are not from the Guangdong province. Here is a very useful tips to help you judge which industrial clusters provides better quality. That is to talk more with the supplier. And you can ask them that why the supplier from other industrial clusters provides much cheaper price. If the supplier is from the better quality industrial clusters, and he will can't wait to tell you that why their price is a little bit higher, but the quality is much better than their competitors from other regions. As to the topic of supplier's location, here's also very interesting that I want to share with you is about supplier's location of registration. A lot of new importers will get confused that why there are so many Chinese suppliers. They get company registered both in the China mainland and also Hong Kong. Of course, it's not a scam, and it's quite normal because China is a country that has very strict regulation on foreign currency exchange. So all Chinese companies that doing the international trading business, all of them they will register an offshore company in Hong Kong and use this bank account to receive foreign currency payment from other countries. So it's really very common that Chinese suppliers will use a Hong Kong bank company to deal with you. The number 4 thing you can check is supplier's business history to have ideas about how many years they have been doing this business. If you are not looking for a long-term business suppliers, you are planning to buy a product just for 1 or 2 times, or you are fine to change suppliers quite often, then you can just forget about these aspects. If you want to find a long-term relationship suppliers, then my suggestion is to try to find suppliers who are doing this business for at least 3 years. Because to start a new business in China is very simple. It costs less than $500 that you can get a company registered, and you can pay just few $1,000 and you will become a gold suppliers on Alibaba, or you can go to some trade shows to become a supplier there. By doing either of these two ways, it's very easy to get connect with foreigner buyers just like you. So there are a lot of people in China that they work in manufacturer or trading company for a couple of years. If he keep running the business for 3 years, that means he's doing quite well and will be more qualified as a long-term supplier. In order to verify the supplier's business histories, you can either let the supplier introduce, or you can check their business license or their Alibaba supplies membership information to check about when they are established. In addition, you can also go to whois.com to check their website domain or their email address domain to see when this domain is registered. You can also go to supplier's website or their social media page to see if they have posted any information or photos about their attending some trade shows. You can find if they are selling the same type of products for all the time. The number 5 thing that you can check supplier's background is to see what countries they have exported. For example, if you find a supplier sells products for very competitive price, but most of his customers are from developing countries, and if you want to sell the product to the American Amazon, and apparently this supplier will be not a very good option because American customers on Amazon will be probably not satisfied with the quality and also will require for refund. For most Chinese suppliers, usually they will have a certain country or region that they are mainly sell and export it to. So you can simply judge if the supplier's quality is suitable for the market in your country just by learning that what countries that they are mainly exported to. In addition, for some products, you need to get compliance certifications or you should get a certain qualification. Then you are able to import this kind of product. In this kind of situation, you'd better to find a supplier who has exported to your countries before, and you can either use their certification or inquire them about how to import this kind of products legally into your country. And also, when you want to import products to some countries which is not very easy to handle the custom clearance, such like countries in the South America, or you want to import to some small countries, there are not so many freight forwarder companies available to provide the door-to-door delivery service. For these two kind of situations, I also recommend you to buy products from those suppliers who has exported to your country before, because they probably know which freight forwarder is able to help you handle the shipping and also the custom clearance in your country. The number 7 thing that you can check with the supplier is that do they have related compliance certifications for the product that you want to purchase. But for products like electronics, toys, medical products, for most countries, they will have different compliance certification requirements. For most cases, compliance certification is required either by the custom clearance process or by the e-commerce platform that you are going to sell. So you can inquire the one who help you handle the custom clearance or inquire the e-commerce platform. And then when you are doing the supplier research, you can try to find suppliers who have the same certifications, and you can save some money on this issue because you don't need to apply for your own certifications. Here's the kind of thing that usually happen, that when you want to import to United States, but the suppliers only have compliance certifications for the European Union. And let's take the toys as an example, and the supplier only have the CE certification for European Union. So in this case, you cannot use this certification to import to United States. But if the supplier have the CE certification, at least it can prove that the supplier's product quality is good enough to pass the testing of European Union. That also means it has very high likely to pass the CPSC standard testing of the United States. Well, for this kind of situation, you need to pay from your own pocket for the testing, which also costs at least few hundred US$. But if you are not buying very large quantity, for example, you just want to test the product, then of course it's more recommended for you to buy from those suppliers who have the CPSC certification in order to save some money. Except for the product certifications, the number 8 thing that you can check with the supplier is what kind of qualification does the manufacturer have. However, for most of small to medium-sized business, you don't need to go too deep with these aspects because factories' qualifications are usually concerned by big buyers. And for trading companies or small-scale manufacturers, they also don't have this kind of qualification. Even though there are a lot of difference on the manufacturer's qualifications between different industries, but the most common thing one is the ISO 9001, which is a quality management system. Then it can at least prove this supplier is a real manufacturer and also is very well organized. And another very common thing one is the BSCI, which is about how the factory is doing on the social responsibility. Are workers fairly paid? Or do they working in a very safe condition? Well, for most of you that doing the small to medium-sized business, it's not necessary for you to filter out suppliers by these aspects. But if the supplier have it, it could be even better because it looks more professional, and also it's very likely that this supplier have supported some big retailers before. Number 8 thing that you can check with suppliers is if they have the export license. And this is also a thing that a lot of new importers, they are quite confused. In the comment of my blog posts and also YouTube videos, there are a lot of people asking about if it's necessary to only buy from suppliers who have export licenses. My answer is no. In China, there are a lot of small manufacturers and small trading companies. They don't have their own export licenses. If they have, at least it can prove that this supplier is not a very small company. Without this license, the supplier cannot use their own company title to export the special products. Usually they will use a third-party company's name to export the product, which will cost a little bit on the exporting process. Even though the manufacturer or trading company have their own export license, their suppliers who make the products or raw materials are not paying the VAT, which means they cannot get the VAT invoice issued by the government. All their transactions has to be processed through their personal bank accounts instead of their company accounts. So even though they have the export license, this batch of products cannot be exported under their company's name. This kind of situation is very common in China because our government is not very strict on the tax issue of small manufacturers and also personal business. So next time when you see the bill of lading and you find that the shipper's name is not your supplier's company name, don't be surprised. It's very normal because they are using a third party's name for exporting because of this issue. Very appreciate for watching today's video, and even though there are a lot of big difference between different product categories, but this 8 methods will be quite enough to help you verify all suppliers' background. No matter what kind of background does the supplier have, as long as it's suitable for your business, as long as he's not a liar, you can try to buy from them. And you really don't need to try to find the manufacturers with the best qualifications in all aspects. If you have any questions about today's topic, leave it in the comment. And in the next video, I will teach you how to choose the best suppliers to place order after checking different suppliers' background. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next video.